Herzlich willkommen, liebe Zuschauer, zu einer weiteren Folge von Im Auge des Bruders mit Scott Ritter hier auf unserem YouTube-Kanal Gegenpol. Mein Name ist Monique Stegemann und in dieser Woche geht es um folgende Themen. Deutsche Taurus-Marschflugkörper für die Ukraine? Warum zögert der Westen mit seiner Militärintervention gegen Niger? Und hat der russische Verteidigungsminister Shoigu recht, dass die militärische Dominanz des Westens zerbrochen ist? Hallo Scott, schön, dass du dir wieder die Zeit genommen hast. Wie geht's dir?
I'm doing good, thank you. Yourself?
Sehr schön. Mir geht's auch sehr gut. Scott, du weißt, wir springen immer direkt in die erste Frage.
Okay.
Ein viel diskutiertes Thema in den deutschen Medien derzeit ist die möglicherweise bevorstehende Lieferung von Taurus-Marschflugkörpern an die Ukraine. Die Ukraine beharrt darauf, dass sie diese Marschflugkörper unbedingt braucht, und in den Medien wird er beinahe zu einer Wunderwaffe stilisiert. Wie schätzt du Taurus ein? Welchen militärischen Nutzen kann er der Ukraine bringen, und ist er wirklich eine Wunderwaffe?
Well, there's no such thing as a wonder weapon. War is a very complicated reality. It requires a combined arms approach where weapons work in concert with other weapons to create a culminating impact. A weapon like the Taurus is valuable. It permits precision strike deep into an enemy's rear area, threatening logistics, command and control, troop buildup, lines of communication, things of that nature. And this is definitely something that the Ukrainians are, lacking at this juncture. They have a similar weapon system, the Scalp or the Storm Shadow, the French and British air-launched cruise missile has been used by them. But while there has been some success, the Russians have been able to adapt their operational methodology and their defenses to deal with the Storm Shadow / Scalp. And this would be the case with the German Taurus. It's not a miracle weapon. It's not a wonder weapon. It's a weapon. And it's a weapon that has been around for some years. The Russians are familiar with it. And if it were to be employed, while there's no doubt that there would be some tactical success, the destruction of some Russian targets, killing of some Russian soldiers, it would have no impact on the battlefield. As we speak, Ukraine is throwing their last strategic reserves into the battle. And in the Zaporizhia front, this means that they have exhausted their main strike force. They're down to their final hope. They have yet to reach the first defensive line of the Russians, and these reserves will not change the reality on the battlefield, nor will the introduction of the Taurus system. What could happen is that by bringing the Taurus in, the Germans could actually provoke greater Russian retaliation. The Russians, I think your audience needs to be reminded, they are not at war with Ukraine. I know some people will think that that's a ridiculous concept given the level of violence that's taking place today, but war is a completely different thing than the Ukrainian people are experiencing today. If you go to Kiev, there's parties. People go to restaurants. People dance. People walk in the streets. If Ukraine was at war, none of this would be happening. Kiev would be destroyed. It would be a gutted city, one that needs only think of Grozny in 2002. That's the future of Kiev. That's the future of Lvov. That's the future of every Ukrainian city, should they want war with Russia. And if Germany provides Ukraine with the Taurus missile, Germany could be helping provoke Russia to go to war against Ukraine. And that should be something that nobody wants.
Die Bundesregierung hat offenbar Bedenken, dass die Taurus-Marschflugkörper für Angriffe auf das russische Kernland benutzt werden könnten. Auch wenn die ukrainische Regierung dem vehement widerspricht. Der sächsische Ministerpräsident Michael Kretschmer warnte hingegen davor, dass deutsche Raketen in Russland einschlagen könnten. Daher soll in der Software der Marschflugkörper ein Reichweitenlimit vorprogrammiert werden, mit dem dann nur Ziele innerhalb der Ukraine anvisiert werden können. Wie bewertest du diese Maßnahme? Lässt sie sich leicht umgehen?
I have to wonder how stupid German politicians are, how stupid German officials are. That's a stupid concept. Ukraine is going to receive a weapon. Ukraine will use that weapon as Ukraine sees fit. Does Germany not understand that Ukraine has already violated every one of the so-called red lines that have been set up regarding the provision of military assistance? America provided similar restrictions regarding this equipment, and yet Ukrainian forces equipped with American Humvees, small arms, tactical weapons, violated Russian territory by making a move on Rostov. Ukraine has attacked the Crimea Bridge. If Germany provides Taurus missiles to Ukraine, Ukraine will override any German restrictions placed on it and use those weapons as Ukraine sees fit. Ukraine is currently sending drones against Moscow and other Russian cities, and I can guarantee you that if Germany provides the Taurus missile to Ukraine, Ukraine will use the Taurus missile against targets inside Russia. Now we come back to what I discussed earlier. Does Germany really want Russia to go to war against Ukraine? Because it sounds like that's the direction that Germany is pushing this conflict. And if that's the case, then the German public need to understand that when they wake up and see Kiev laying in ruins, it's their fault, nobody else's.
Vielleicht kannst du da nochmals ins Detail gehen, Scott. Was sagen die Taurus-Pläne über die Haltung der Bundesregierung aus?
Because Germany has no clue what conflict is, what war is. It's a game to Germany. It's a device used to appease, themselves into believing that they're doing something to help Ukraine. If Germany was responsible, they'd wake up and understand that Ukraine has lost this conflict. This conflict was lost a long time ago. And if Germany cares at all about the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian soldiers, bringing into this conflict, which has already cost Ukraine well over 400,000 soldiers dead, tens of thousands of civilians dead, tens of millions of civilians displaced, $1 trillion plus in Ukrainian infrastructure destroyed. That's Germany's fault. It was Angela Merkel, by the way, who created the myth of the Minsk Accords. I need to remind the German public of this every chance I get. It was a German chancellor that created the conditions of the sham, never seeking peace, always seeking war. Well, you've got war now, Germany, and it's a war that's costing Ukraine dearly. Now what? You're going to make yourself feel good and say, we're doing something to help the Ukrainians by giving them yet another wonder weapon? You gave them the Leopard tank. How did that work out? You gave them the Marder fighting vehicle. How did that work out? There's not a piece of German military technology that's going to change the outcome on this battlefield. They will all arrive to the similar conclusion. More dead Ukrainians, more destroyed Ukrainian infrastructure. Germany should stop this nonsense by beginning the process of de-escalation, and that means don't send the Taurus missile to Ukraine. If the German people stand for anything, if they claim to have a moral conscience, they should be objecting to the dispatch of the Taurus missile to Ukraine.
Bleiben wir noch beim Thema Ukraine-Krieg. Der russische Verteidigungsminister Sergei Shoigu hat auf der Internationalen Sicherheitskonferenz in Moskau betont, Russlands Einmarsch in die Ukraine habe die globale militärische Dominanz des Westens beendet. Das zeige sich auch an der Ineffektivität der westlichen Waffen und der NATO-Strategie. Wie schätzt du diese Aussagen ein? Hat Shoigu recht, dass die militärische Dominanz des Westens zerbrochen sei?
Well, first of all, I'll take I don't think that Shoigu used the term the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They call it the special military operation. So I don't want to be seen as putting words in Shoigu's mouth. But what I think he's saying is that the ongoing conflict in Ukraine has signaled the end of Western military dominance. Prior to this, I think most military analysts around the world would say that while Russia had a powerful military, it was the number 2 military in the world, behind that of the United States and NATO as a conglomerate. No more. Russia is the number 1 military in the world today. The Russian military has shown that it has the operational and technological capability to defeat anything and everything that the United States and NATO can bring to bear on this problem. The United States and NATO have used the Ukrainian conflict as a proxy conflict to try and damage Russia. and it's backfired. The Russian victory, which is ongoing in Ukraine, has shown the United States and NATO to be a paper tiger. I think it's shown Germany in particular to be a nation lacking almost in totality anything resembling military competence, whether technologically driven, or operational. It was German trainers, by the way, at the Grafenwohr facility that and using a German computer assisted program that helped design the current Ukrainian counteroffensive. It's failed miserably. That speaks not only to the lack of ability on the part of the Ukrainians, but the lack of imagination and ability on the part of the German and NATO trainers.